You are tuning into The Deal. I'm Danny Brown, and every week I interview the best real estate agents in the world and talk about seven-figure commissions, celebrity and high-profile clients, and the craziest real estate stories you could ever imagine. Enjoy this week's episode. Good to see you, Michelle Schwartz. Welcome to The Deal.
Hi, Danny Brown.
Hi.
Nice to deal with you.
What's the deal? Well, Michelle and I go way back and know each other well before real estate. I don't know how far back we go, but certainly your husband and I go back to college, so probably right around there.
And I know your wife from before, from my previous...
Right.
Yes.
We've had a lot of crossover, as well as colleagues. We worked together at the agency for a while, and I want to start with that. You're at the agency. You're one of the first agents, that first group of agents that joined the agency. Has it been 10 years, or how many years has it been?
We will be 13. It's our
bar 13 mitzvah. Years.
It's our bar mitzvah in September.
Mazel tov! Put everyone up in chairs?
Yeah, we should throw everyone up. I know that because I was pregnant with my second son, and he was born September 8th, and I was having contractions on the floor of an office that did not exist without furniture.
The temporary office?
Yeah.
Was that the one upstairs was it on Beverly or Canada?
Beverly. Yeah, on Beverly.
I remember.
Above
amazing. So talk to me about that. The early days of the agency, it was your early day. You just got into real estate, I assume. Yeah. Talk me through how you even got into real estate, how you connected with the agency first, and then we could talk about that first year or two of the agency in the temporary office.
Yeah, it was good times. So I was in PR and marketing. I call it my past life. And when I was pregnant with my first son, my husband and I were looking. You were helping us look. We were looking for condos on the west side. And then we pivoted and went to the Valley. And that was a time where like we didn't think that agents could work everywhere, right? It was a lot less digital than it is today. We were still looking on the LA Times Sundays to see what was open.
The newspaper.
The newspaper. So when we pivoted, I know we stopped working together when we decided we were going to buy in the Valley.
Yeah.
And when we bought in the Valley, I kind of was like, wait, what I noticed was that there was like some very clear similarities and nuances in what the real estate agents were doing and how they handle their clients, and what I was doing in PR and marketing and how I handle my clients.
Okay, sure.
So being aware of that similarity, I also I was like, okay, I'm like, maybe this is something I can do. And so that was really the transition. And so I know Mo my whole life. We're family friends. So I called him and I'm like, hey, I'm pregnant. He's like, amazing. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm going to get my license. So I'm going to start studying while I'm on it, so that when I'm on maternity leave, I can make that transition, was really my plan. We should start by saying it was, the bottom of the barrel of the market, right? It was 2009, right? At the end of 2009, beginning of 10, and
scary times in real estate.
Scary times. And everything was uncertain. Everything was, I just figured I was going to have all the opportunities for all the weird things to happen and get those out of the way for the future of my career. So I ended up going with Mo. I worked with Mo at Hilton Hyland. So he didn't really have much of a team, but I just said, look, I just want to shadow you. I want an opportunity to learn from you.
Right. So you guys had the Mexican Jew connection, right?
That's right.
The MA. No, not the MA. No, but okay, that's right.
Yeah. So then I worked with him, and then it was then we started having all these secret meetings and got pregnant with my next one. He was like, get your fucking babies out of the way. Let's make some money. And I was like, let's go. So and then one day we get the call. It's like, by the way, you're not going back to Hilton and Hyland. And by the way, this is our new office. And by the way, we have no furniture, no phones, no nothing.
Nothing.
So come on down, right?
Come on down. So at this point, it's Mo, Blair, Billy, you, anyone else?
I know that they had pulled a
couple people.
Eduardo,
yeah, of course.
Sarah was with us also.
Sarah.
And then I think that they pulled some heavy hitters right off the bat, right? I think within the first month you had Dee Dee and you had Ed Fitz and you had just some of these iconic agents here in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills specifically.
That joined.
Mm-hmm. And then all of Billy's well, minions, but they're not minions. He had all the people that he had trained, right? So you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Josh Myler, and you had, Jonathan Ruiz, and we had a whole new cluster of guys that were coming in too. So, but it was the merging of Billy's team and Mo's team, and we figured the rest out. And Mike Leapart was early on, right? Because he was in development. Because we launched on the heels of getting the
It's a big project, right?
the hotel, yeah, and down to the condo building. Why am I blanking right now?
Was it the not the W? Was it the W? Was it the one where all the Lakers and Clippers were bought?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, they had a huge condo project that was part of their launch.
That was the launch. So they tell the story that they went into this launch meeting, or they went into the pitch meeting, and they're like, so this is the company we're going to create. And they're like, but if we give you the listing, what do we do? They're like, we'll start the company, right? And they're like, okay, well, we'll try. And so that's how they got the listing, and they backed into it. Yeah. So that seemed to work out. But they needed a Mike Leapart, right? Who works.
Wait, is it the Ritz-Carlton?
That's it. That was
yes.
It. Yeah.
I don't know why I was blank. We're both blank. We've been doing this too long.
For some reason, like what? Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's the new one, the Beverly Hills Four Seasons. You guys are on that.
We have the Four Seasons.
Well, so that's right. They started that super, super early. Incredible. So what was that first year? See, what people don't understand now, there's been a lot of boutiques and a lot of, edgy companies. Back then, it was all big box. And yeah, there was some mom and pops. But there wasn't like a upstart, hotshot, boutique, high-end company for years. I mean, Hilton Hyland already existed and WEA existed, but I'm thinking for a new company. So what was that environment like? I remember there being like a ton of excitement and buzz really quickly.
Really quick. Yeah, we were a disruptor, right? We were like the first one to market, to disrupt the market and say, we're going to do things differently. We're going to do them edgier. We're going to skew younger. We're going to try to be more innovative. I like to say that at the time, especially somewhat now, but I think others have caught up to us. It was like we were a marketing company that was specializing in real estate.
Correct.
Right? So we had a great voice that was unique and different. And the things that we were doing were very, very, they stood out a lot easier until everyone started chasing our tagline and,
Yeah, but that took years. That took, 5, maybe 7, 10 years. I mean, those first couple of years, I remember maybe it was first 5 or 6. It really was different. It really did stand out. It wasn't just talk. We're different. We have new this, new that. Everything. It was obvious to all of us, even the active, productive agents that have been in the business. It was like, whoa, they get it. And no real estate company up to that point would you have said, oh, they get it. They're branding at a high level that like a fashion or a cool up and coming fashion brand would do. So that was huge.
Yeah, we became more editorial in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, you backed it up because you had, some pillar brokers that were able to actually have inventory to back it up and deals to back it up. And I guess it just took off.
I also think that probably the more appealing part for agents, but also what ended up working really well for clients is the stress and the importance on sharing information internally, right? Yeah. Like that idea of we're not against each other. The collaboration, we're together, right? Like don't lose a listing to go out against, like you and I are not going to go out for the same listing. Let's go in there and kick ass together, right? Like, So I think that also changed the mindset and the mentality of how things were done. Because prior to that, it was, survival of the fittest, right? Dog eat dog. And it still is in some brokerages. But even now that you're at Compass, I still think that there's probably a big part of the essence of what that was and how much that works that you were able to take with you no matter where you are, right?
Sure, so, I think for sure. And there's some people that are like-minded and follow that like the collaboration is it going to create more business and more money for everybody versus trying to hold on to every bit of business and the concept of, hey, look, let's just co-list this. Let's have 3 people on the listing. Let's have 5, let's share the buyer. We'll split it. Or, hey, I'll give you a piece. I'm so busy. Can you take 10% because I have 10 listed? That concept didn't really exist. Right. Or it didn't. At least nobody was doing it.
Well, I think everyone was afraid to, right? Like, I feel like it's almost like this is an industry where you don't know if you could trust people. But I think we kind of changed well, with our rules and what have you, was like the expectation was is you're coming here because you're going to collaborate. And I think
Yeah.
that is instinctively a younger mindset, younger person's mindset, right? You're not as stuck in your ways. You're more willing to be creative, try things out, and like you see a bigger picture. So I don't know. We still have some of those pillars that are in the market, the agents that are pillars, but we have so many young agents and vibrant
Sure.
agents and people that were middle of the road agents that come and join us and really just skyrocket and catapult to the next level. So all of those are reasons why, I think.
Yeah, all good stuff. All right, so the agency early years, and you'd been there your whole career now. Well, I guess you started at Hilton Hyland, but at what point did you become, I guess, a top producer in your own right, and no longer under the wing of Mo, but you sort of flew on your own and started your own team, and then now it's led to you being running a couple offices and being on the show, and you know the whole world knows it. It's no longer a secret.
Let's just say that nothing was handed to me and everything. But it's the same thing, right? Like I've built all of this from, hard work and determination. And, I'm a big believer that if I'm going to take, it's a silly thing. I don't know if it's a mom thing. It could be a dad thing too. But like, I just think like if I'm going to be doing something and I'm not with my kids or my family, if I'm out of the home doing something, I better be doing it at a really high level. Right? Like it better be fucking worth it for me to not be with my kids if I have to give something up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, make it count. Otherwise, why do it?
Have pride in your work and do a really good job, right? And yeah, have pride. So I when we started the agency, when we moved to the Beverly Hills office. Yeah, I was on his team, but not really. And then when we really just kind of started branching out, he was like, Michelle, you don't need me. Like, just go and like do your thing. So, so I did that. So I was on my own. It took me, I closed my first deal after 1 year, and it was my best friend's house, and I was having constructions and whatever. And but look, I mean, it took me a full year to get my own client. Like, I didn't get anything handed to me. It was just, just kind of doing the work. So I think it probably, well, here's the thing is at one point I started coaching with Tom Ferry.
Okay.
And that was probably, I'm going to guess like 5 years into it, 6 years. And the one thing I took away was that they shifted my mindset from seeing this as something that I do and making it into a business. Okay. And so once I started running a P&L, once I started understanding my expenses from top to bottom and, realizing where I could trim the fat and where I was overspending or what have you, like being a business person, putting on a business hat, that's when my business changed. And then, so with that came my ability to see, okay, I can do more. And I went to Mo and I said, look, I live in the Valley. Craig lives in the Valley. We're talking about Calabasas. Like, I want to run the Valley office. So why wouldn't I want that?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what I was asking for. And he was like, and he was like, well, I guess if you guys are all doing it as a team, then great. And we were the only ones that were doing anything in the Valley at the time. I mean, Mo didn't even live out here, know?
Right.
So, but yeah, so I had to ask for it. And, to be perfectly fair, based on sales, I probably would not have, no one was asking me based on my sales. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. You brought a lot to the table beyond just your sales.
Correct. It was, kind of, I'm like a culture carrier in many ways when it comes to this company. And I think, what we were able to convince, both Craig and I were able to convince Billy and Mo of sorts. We're committing to them like, hey, like, we've been here since day one. Like, we're your day ones. We can replicate this in the Valley.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, you're talking about Craig Nizick, for those of you that don't know.
Yes.
Shout out to Craig, who I need to get on the podcast. Love him. As good as it gets. One of the best. I love him.
Old man, but he's a wonderful one.
Yeah.
He's someone you want on your side, not on the other side of the deal. So we did that, and we proved ourselves, and then we run a very tight ship, and we have proven we're now 3 offices in the Valley. We merged with the Calabasas office. So it's me, Emil Hartunian and Craig Nizick, and we are three partners, and we are
Right.
equal partners across Calabasas, Studio City, and Sherman Oaks offices. We have 160 agents with us. We each run our own business. We're each the top producers, collectively, individually, and then plus we have some other really great, amazing teams. But we are also lean and mean, right? Like we're not like some of these other brokerages that just allow anybody to come in. And we would rather have less and people that are doing more than a lot of people that are going to kind of take more time out of like the energy sucks.
Yeah, you're looking for productive agents and agents you can build businesses with, and not just filling desks and filling space. That's sort of one of the advantages, I think, or business models of most smaller boutiques as they grow. Although now you guys have grown, you're not a small boutique anymore. You're all over the place. How many offices are there now worldwide?
I think we're in like 30 countries, I think, or something.
30 countries.
That's actually probably.
But how many offices do you think there are? Or do you know?
I understand. 60, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, when I was at the agency, I think there was a handful of offices.
Yeah.
And they were opening, they were just starting to open up the local ones. Like, let's open up the Valley. When you guys, they were just talking about the Valley, then Malibu, and then the Palo. Like the local ones were just starting. So it's been a quite impressive a run and growth. So how are you balancing Michelle, the agent, top producer, Michelle, the managing director and overseeing the office business, but also trying to develop agents, and then Michelle, who has a life as a mom, a wife, friends, etc. Talk to me about that, because that's always a challenge for people.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a high functioning ADD. And I playing a perpetual game of whack-a-mole throughout the day, right? It's like you just gotta like pivot and like just you gotta make sure. Look, the more I have on my plate, the more I'm able to accomplish and get done. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
It's like I make a checklist for myself of all of the things that I need to do, and I have a list of 20 things, and then I'll get like whatever 15 of them done. But if I have a list of 4, I'll get 1 done. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just like my brain.
You want something done? Ask a busy person to get it done, right? So you do better when you're busy and moving and pivoting, and your natural makeup suits you to be in a job or career where you're got to pivot, different things coming at you and different things. That's interesting. So the ADD talent, that's probably a very an important skill set to have.
Totally. But I think, as a parent, I think that's the natural part of it, right? Like, remember, like when we're walking around with the kids, it's like, you got to make sure they're not putting that in their hand. They're not walking with it. Like, so you literally have to see
You're on your toes, and it's just nonstop fire drill. Plug the dam, whack-a-mole, all of it. It's unbelievable.
All right, so like having a proper team, right? Like when it comes to the managing of the office, like we have an amazing sales manager. I have my amazing partners. When it comes to my home life, my husband is, incredible and helpful, and I have thankfully the greatest, nanny that also helps out a lot. And here at the office, I have an amazing executive assistant, and I have another agent that I've grown. So it's like it's not just me. But
you delegate and have people around you that you lean on.
But it's a weird thing. Like I have this like elephant brain where like I'm just remembering all these things. I'm like, well, whatever happened with that? Oh, what do you it's like it's the functioning ADD is really what it is.
So let me get into some fun real estate questions. So what is the biggest property you've sold?
Oh, good. Is in 2022? Yes, 2022, I think. And it was the highest sale ever in the Huntington, in the Palisades.
Whoop, whoop.
34 million on the bluff of Corona Del Mar.
Corona Del Mar. Was that the biggest commission check?
Yeah.
So what was the commission check?
I mean, I spent that quickly.
I didn't say if it's still sitting. I didn't say if it's still under your desk. I'm just wondering, what's the biggest commission check you think has crossed your head?
That was just shy of 700.
Woo-wee!
I think so. Yeah.
That's great. Amazing. When people hear that, but what they don't understand is for all those the $700,000 commission, what they don't understand is how many years and hours of work did you put in without getting paid a penny and spending money on marketing and gas and, everything that assistance. I mean, people don't see that, but it's
Right.
always fun to hear the highlights of, oh, look at this big sale. And a part of this is people see us through the TV culture and it makes it look easy. But God, do you know, there's nothing easy about building these businesses. And to get a deal like that when it happens, there's so much involved. It can be years.
Well, I was saying, I was speaking at Inman last week, and I was talking to some agents, and I just said, I'm like, we literally have chosen, like, it's real estate agents and then actors are like the worst, hardest, jobs on the planet.
Yeah.
And the real that our actors are even crazier. I don't know how they do it, but it's like we are peppered with negativity
all day.
We get off on a little high, sometimes we're like, oh, we got a lease, you know what I mean? Like, oh, but we are in the hardest career and we're constantly being criticized and judged. And, it's
a lot of rejection.
It's
not. Well, you built your business in your career, grinding it out brick by brick, much like I did. And I know we've kind of similar age, we've kind of gone through it and grew our business at similar time. Now you've had something new happen. You now are on this Beverly Hills show, buying Beverly Hills. So talk to me about what is changed and then what is great about it and what sucks about being on TV now that you're a more public person.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with what sucks.
Sure.
What sucks is that I'm constantly thinking as I'm walking, I'm like, are they looking at me because they recognize me or just because they're looking at me? Right. Like, I don't know who's judging me, who's not. Do they, I mean, I've had people like where I'm sitting there just having a glass of wine with a girlfriend and someone they start walking up to me towards me like, oh my God, like I'm their best friend that they recognize. But then they're like, oh, wait a second. No, that's.
Yeah. So you got the little celebrity effect happens.
I've had a very minor moments, but I'm also very cognizant and I'm aware that I feel like some people are like looking at me, maybe not always in a great way. I mean, look, they portrayed me. Look, the truth is that there's a lot about the way I was portrayed that is who I am. I am harsh. I am intense. I'm honest. I have high expectations of people. I have high expectations of myself.
Sure.
But I also feel like I've earned the position that I'm in. And so I'm not afraid to say it. And I think if you take my history into account, right, the fact that I started this out of nowhere and I had the balls to just call Mo, even though I've known him, and just be like, hey, I just want to come and like shadow you and learn from the best. Yeah. And then the next step is we open up a company not that far later. And then the next step is that I come knocking on their door saying, hey, but I want to run a couple offices. Okay, great. But not just one, maybe not two, maybe we'll take it three, right? Like, it's like, I'm not really stopping. And it's not really in my nature to not feel like when you ask a question, no is just a recommendation until you can get to yes, like
I love it.
So for me, I'm not afraid of no, right? Like, no means that I get to try again. Unless someone's like really no, right? But so that's just me though. So part of the way I was portrayed, I mean, I understand, look, the show is about Mo, it's about his daughters, and everyone's playing characters, right? Maybe except for the daughters, but everyone's playing characters. Yeah. And the truth is that I watched season 1 and I was like, I think they need someone like me. And I also didn't feel like there was a proper representation honestly on any of these real estate shows for strong females that are, in high level positions and that are producing and are not, wearing short skirts and high heels. Like, that's the truth. So I was like, well, I can be that person that satisfies check, right?
Done, check. Michelle Schwartz, president, 2026.
No, but I love it, right? It's like, look, I studied theater in college, so the camera.
Oh, so you're not scared of the camera, obviously. You wouldn't do it if you were.
Camera. And I mean, it's like, and this is family, right? So it's an easy way to enter into that world. But
has it impacted the business positively? Are you getting calls that you didn't think you would get, like out of the blue?
Okay, so I talked about this with an agent yesterday, and I don't know. Yes, I'm getting calls out of the blue, but this year, has been so weird
Yeah,
that
very
like
tough year.
it's been a really tough year. It's been hard on all fronts, both selling and buying. And so I don't like. I know I'm slower. I think everybody's slower in their business than they
Yeah,
were, like a
of
lot.
course.
But I love that I don't necessarily have to attest it to a response of what people saw of me as being why it's slow. Like I'm like totally riding this, like the markets it's got nothing to do with me. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if this was a robust market and my business came to like not a screeching halt, but a lot more is slow, then I could attest it to like people's behavior, like what their opinion is of me. But I think I'm in this like it was like the perfect storm of opportunity for me to like put myself out there,
yeah.
and it's not my fault whether or not it generates business or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We didn't really mean fault. I just assume that when you're on TV and you get so much exposure, it's just bound to change things in terms of positive momentum in your
Yeah.
business with people that already work with you, people that are
Yeah.
considering working with you, and then maybe people that didn't even know you or knew you but didn't really like. There's so many layers of our potential clients that could work with us.
Yeah. None of it has been because of the show. Let's put it that way. I haven't really experienced anyone being deterred
No one
because
said, "Hey, I want you to list my $15 million house. I saw you in the show, and you're
after
my."
this podcast, yes, but no.
Well, then I want 25%. Thank you.
Done. What's interesting is that, and I knew this going into the show, like I am uh, of a certain level within the company, a certain success, have a certain level of success in my business. And also I'm of a certain age, right?
Sure.
And so the same, like people that are watching that show are either going to skew younger because they love the young, the youngins, or but the people that are there that are maybe a little older, a little bit more mature in business, have had life experience. They're probably more our age, right? Are going to understand. I knew that they were going to understand the things that I was saying and where I was coming from,
Yeah.
right? When I talk about how much I've earned and I deserve a seat at the table or what have you, like a young, like someone on TikTok is looking at that going, she's such a fucking bitch, and she's obviously not a girl's girl, and I'm just like, you really don't get me, and that's okay. You're not my
Yeah.
target market, right? Like
Right.
you're
Right. Right.
okay. So
Yeah. You can't make all the people happy all the time. You got to
I'm
find your
okay.
tribe. Yeah, I get
But
it.
I do love like this, right? Like the opportunity for podcasts. I've done a lot of podcasts. I have really I've always enjoyed teaching, believe it or not. And so I enjoy sharing stories. And so I've been able to tap into other, newer real estate agents or people that are outside or in other industries that are looking, and they've reached out to me and, oh, like inspiration or what have you, or I want to know your
That's nice.
story. And I love that, and I think I we are three-dimensional and four-dimensional figures, right? And so for me, like I love that I can talk about my kids and my family life, and I can kind of interweave my whole life. And frankly, like what you see is not always what you would assume it is, right? And
Yeah.
so we have histories, we have stories, we have things that mold us and shape us, and really and that has a huge effect on how we do business and how we live our everyday life. And I've loved sharing all of that. Like to be at Inman, like that was like a pinch me moment. Like what the hell?
Fun.
Like never did I ever think that I would ever be invited to be on stage at Inman. Like that's pretty major as far as I'm
That's
concerned.
major, and you earned it, and you should have been there. I mean,
Yeah,
you should have been there before the show, but now they know
damn
you. So,
right. Totally. I agree.
so talk to me. Like, what are some things that you just hate about being a real estate agent? What is just the worst stuff about the worst part of it?
Um, there's no turnoff, right?
Yeah.
Like I would love to say that I'm a very structured person, and I'm really, again, it's a game of whack-a-mole, right? It's the same goes with my business, my clients. Like I would love to be that person that has structure, and I just don't have it. And so turning off is really difficult, right? The telling a client like I'll get back to you tomorrow is something that's a very new thing for me. But
Mm-hmm.
even even when you're on vacation with the kids, like you can't just be like put on an out of note, like what is it, an out of office notification and
Right.
be like, back to you when I get back, and
Yeah,
like
that doesn't exist.
zero, and the operator will, that doesn't exist. So
Right.
I think
Right.
that's probably the hardest, and I think that obviously that takes a toll on my family because they see me constantly
Sure.
working, and it's they get frustrated for sure.
Yeah.
And with that comes like when I was building my business. I mean, the truth is that I missed a lot of time with my kids, right? The weekends
Yeah.
and the going on the school trips and all of those things. But I could also volunteer more often than other moms. So it's this catch
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
never a
Pros and
perfect balance.
cons.
Yeah,
Und-
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of sacrifices to grow a real business and sustain it, and turning off, that's really hard to do for everybody. And if you're really doing it at a high level, it's hard to turn on. You can delegate, you can have a great team, that all helps, and you could turn off for an afternoon, even on vacation. But you can't say I'm out of town for 10 days in Europe and peace out.
Yeah.
That's just.
I actually think that it's new agents that are actually that's a harder time, right? When you're really struggling to put together that one deal, when you really feel like it depends on that, right? Like we're also at the place where,
of course,
we could probably step aside and our clients wouldn't even know the difference, right? But with like the flow of communication of our team, like we could probably make that happen.
Sure.
If we could release ourselves from it. But as a younger agent, when you're starting off, like you're so hungry for every single deal.
Anything you can get.
You need to earn it. And frankly, like I am the biggest believer that, the difference maker in this industry for any agent is when you can focus on customer service. And customer service means availability. So this is not we're not in a sales business. We are in a customer service business.
Sure.
So if you're not going to get that service, if you're not going to give the service, then they're going to get it from somebody else.
If you don't pick up your phone, someone else will pick up theirs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of a sick, twisted mindset, because we fight that notion of, hey, look, we got to be available 24/7, but we also know once you've done,
I don't want to be available 24/7.
Yeah, you don't want to be, and then once you've established yourself and built a business and have a team, you're like, look, no, I need to, for my own mental health, and I need to turn off. And through the years, I don't know, for me at least, over the last 10, 15 years, I've gotten much better with kids of, not great. I'm not perfect where I can tune out forever on a holiday, but I'm going to try to structure it and take time off. But you don't really have that luxury when you're building your business. It's nonstop 7 days a week. And I don't think people realize that's what they're getting into when they sign up to do this job.
I think also, especially early on, and even at any level, I mean, the biggest challenge or the biggest farce of our industry is that we have control over our schedule.
Right. That only is if you have no clients.
Right. The only schedule that I have that we have somewhat control over is when caravan is, right? And like when open houses are. But other than that, it's like, no, if I, when my kids were young and I was building my business, if I had somebody who was only available to have conversations at 8:30 at night, which was bedtime, but that's the only time they're done with work that they can have these conversations, like you kind of got to do it. You got to step away from the dinner table. You have to go to a nighttime showing. Like it's not about you. It's really not about you. So, I mean, I think that's been a really, really hard, it's been, COVID changed that for me. I tell the story. That I became a mom for the first time during COVID. I feel like, and there's been certain rules that I placed, or like limitations for myself that I placed post COVID.
That's a positive to be able to do that, to be able to put some boundaries and structure. And I'd say
everything is still functioning, and my business is still alive. And I was so scared to do that before, but I don't take calls before a certain time because I drive my kids to school, and I don't want to take a call in the car. And I mean, and also, our kids are getting older. It's like, we know that like time's running out. It's like becoming so.
Yeah. So there's that balance. That's the balance. Like you have some structure and some balance and some boundaries, and you've earned it. And I think that's very important. Otherwise you just get burnt out and drained, because we are dealing with so much rejection, stress, negativity. So that's really, I always found that taking vacations, not only do I recharge, I get busy. People start calling, oh yeah, now I need to do something.
I was just going to say that you always got to book a vacation, because that's 2 days prior is when you're opening escrow. Like,
or when you get on the plane, they're ready to list. It's been 4 years. You ready to list now? Great. Let's do it. Let's do it. So let's ask some fun stuff. Who are some of the like high profile or famous people that you've worked with that you could share?
I don't have too many NDAs. I've done everything from, bond traders, like high profile bond traders, to a lot of like YouTubers, like some of like the top 10 YouTubers, a lot of them. Honestly, those are guys that are young and they've come out of nowhere and they're so grateful. They're like, one of them was like, I was living in my car last year and now you're helping me buy a house. Like what? They're just so sweet and grateful. Attorneys, like a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. A lot of people in entertainment, but
Can you share any names? Can we get any big names?
Like YouTubers?
Anyone, famous YouTubers, anything you got. What do you got?
One of my favorites is Irv Gotti. He's
of course.
Murder Inc.
Murder Inc. Murder.
I love him. So I worked with him for many years.
I thought he was a New Yorker. He's got LA too.
Yeah, he's got a place here in LA.
That's a good one for hip hop fans. That's a real good one.
And our age, right? Like
we just aged ourselves. Kids don't even know what we're talking about. Murder Inc. What?
I'm trying to think of, my kids go to school with lots of people that are heads of companies and basketball teams and athletes, and it's a slippery slope, right? Like we can start talking about our clients, but at the same token, anybody who wants to work with you appreciates discretion, right?
Sure. It's a fine balance. That's fair. Fair enough. Totally get that. So give me some advice. If there's an agent that's, I don't know, they could be a newer agent, they could be a veteran, but they're struggling. They're like, what are some things an agent should be doing and focusing on? What are some advice? If I came to you and said, hey, look, what should I be doing? What should I be focusing on? What are the keys to growing my business? And I know there's not just one answer, and I know there's no magic pill.
Yeah. I mean, I think going back to customer service, right? It's like focus on one client and do a really good job. That's always been my clutch. It's, be responsive, be communicative. I do like an insane amount of reporting to my clients, both buyers and sellers. When we're on the market, I feel like I'm constantly not proving myself, but I'm reinforcing why they chose me, right? It's not just about throwing something on the MLS. I really lay out in advance a whole marketing plan of what we're going to do. So I offer that to clients after they sign the listing agreement. And then I would say, for me, look, I never did the cold calling or the door knocking or any of that. For me, it was really, I found a way to have business come to me in an authentic way that was authentically me, right? And so I would say find who you are, because when you're I'll put this as a story, right? If you're door knocking, if I'm coming to your door, you don't know me from Adam, right? And so the amount of time it'll take for you to actually trust me in anything that I'm either saying, doing, or that you want to entrust your money with me, it's going to take so much longer than if I already have something in common with you. If I meet you at a dinner party, that's so-and-so's house, right? We already have that person in common. Sure. All of a sudden, it's like a social proof, right? There's an understanding that, okay, well, if you're friends with so-and-so, then you clearly are probably, and I'm friends with them, then we're probably the same people, right? It makes it a lot easier.
Sure.
So all of my networking, all of my client outreach, quite frankly, is all via socializing, and not in not in an attack-less way. I'm not out there trying to bring people in to socialize with them for that benefit, but actually it comes up all the time anyway. And so when you have that commonality and when you find something that is a common thread, I think that that's the part that innately creates trust between two people that maybe didn't know each other before. Yeah. And once you have trust, then the rest of it, that's what you're trying to establish the whole time, right?
I think that's a good point.
I mean,
if you don't have trust, you can't get anything done, because no one's taking any guidance and no one's going to listen to anything you have to say.
Right. And they're not going to trust that you know what kind of house that they want, right? They're not going to trust that you can handle that situation. It doesn't even matter what your experience is. And it doesn't have, you don't have to have experience to establish trust. I think that that's like the big thing. I mean, you know, we are real estate advisors, right? We are trusted. We are among your team of trusted advisors. We are not a real estate agent. And so once you take that out of it and you can offer information and opportunity and just be there for someone as a friend would, listen to them. One of my favorite ones. Ask a question. Just fucking ask questions. If you ask questions and you know how to craft a question and ask for it, you can get so much information out of people without it being about real estate. And I'm talking about like, Danny, wow, like you like short sleeve polos. Like why? Like what is it about?
Because it's fly, baby. I'm looking fly. Miami Beach, what's up?
You might be like, you know what? I get hot all the time. And I like, you know, so I can't wear long sleeve shirts. Oh my God, that's so interesting. So like, do you like always have your air conditioning? You know what I mean? Like you can start.
I'm schwitzing over here. No long sleeves. It's too hot.
Yes. But that also paints a picture of somebody, right? And it paints what their priorities are and who they are and what triggers them. And so if you can take those pieces of information and just, you know, okay, and like, but like, how does it, like, what happens when you get too hot? Like, do you turn beet red? You know, like, when you start asking people, people want to answer questions. Me on the podcast, right? Like I want to answer questions. I want to hear myself speak. Everybody wants to hear themselves speak. If you understand what you're looking for in the answers and you can take it and extract the little nuggets like as you go, I mean, I'm telling you, people are like blown away that you could how did you know that I wanted a Cape Cod house? Okay, because I asked the right questions, right? Like I know what triggered your emotions. I watched you walk into our friend's house and you were like, this is the most beautiful house I've ever seen. Well, I'm going to only show you houses that are like that.
Right.
Like,
so there's a couple really key things that I can pull from this. And they're all so good. One, you mentioned authenticity, being your authentic self. So whatever that means for you, it's be social and engage with people and treat people kindly and be curious. Ask questions. That's the next, and ask good calibrated questions, that authentic questions. So you want to learn about this person, and that then gets me to when you probably want to sit there and listen to what they say once you ask the question. There's so many gold nuggets there. Those two little things are pretty good signs. If you're doing those right, it's a pretty good platform to have success in whether it's real estate or business or anything.
Exactly. I think it's in any business, right? I think if you understand who your client is and who your customer is, and if you can engage with them on a level that almost like unguards them, right? Like it's like the veil comes down and you become just having a conversation. I mean, I used to do this in PR all the time, right? Like I'm sure your wife knows, like, you know, if I'm going out and I want to get a product into Teen Vogue or something, like they're based in New York. They don't know me. I'm just another publicist that's calling them to pitch them a product, right? But when I go to New York and I'm like, hey, I want to take you out, like, and I don't talk about my products. I talk about them.
Let's just get to know them.
Who did you with? Oh, are you married? Oh, do you have kids? Where do you guys like to hang out? Oh my God, like, you know, whatever it is, you become their best friend. And I don't mean it in an unauthentic way. I mean it in like, be that chameleon that can adapt to different people and find the commonality, because that's when the trust comes. And then that's when they take your call, when they call you first, all of those things. And, you know, what I was talking about at Inman was also like building a repeat and referral business and social media and how you use social media with it. And so when we talk about authenticity, that's very much what I do. I show all the different gamuts of my life, right? All the different areas, whether it's travel, like it's very personal, as well as some property based, but some silly, some not, me on video, me stills. And so part of the reason for that is that what I want is I want whoever is looking at it to see a whole series of different things where I can now like target 7 different people in 7 different videos or 7 different posts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're finding something in all of those things. So, and the more you watch, the more intrigued you are, the more you're going to learn, and you're going to find, oh, you know what? Like this is somebody who's like me, or I want to have this aspirational life, or we travel the same, or we love the same hotel, or whatever, you know, perfume, like whatever it is. It just creates a connection.
Create the connections.
Yeah.
And asking questions and listening and being authentic and being yourself is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So some other non-real estate questions. So what is like the hot, good restaurants in the Valley? Where do I go to dinner?
Well, believe it or
Or
not,
even classics. It doesn't have to be hot, new restaurants.
well, we are thrilled to announce the long overdue in Studio City. We're finally getting our John and Vinny's. The sign just went up.
We had that last night.
Yeah.
We brought it in last night, John and Vinny's.
It's just so
It's a big hit in our house.
Oh, yeah, ours too. That's obviously great. Right across from our office, you're hearing it here first, kids. We have Great White is opening directly across the street from our office. I'm on Ventura Place and Laurel Canyon. So
Okay.
This is kind of like a mini Melrose Place, and it's all the same owner as Melrose Place. So he's really doing it up. So we have Great White that's opening across the street. We have James Purse is opening across the street. I don't think anybody knows.
Nice.
We have Giada, like the sandwich shop that's opening downstairs. So like we have a lot. This area is just
a lot of action.
Very cool. A lot of action.
I love it.
It is great. Yeah.
I love it. So how about some fun travel stuff? Where you guys where would you go? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? Next trip. If you had a week or two off because real estate called time out, you could go anywhere. Where would you like to go? Where are a few places?
Well, my favorite place on the planet that I've been to thus far is Turks and Caicos.
Okay.
Nothing like that ocean. I've never experienced anything like that. So that I would definitely want to go back. But I'd probably go to Asia. I would love to go to Japan. I have never been to Asia. So that's probably like next on our list. But right now, like this summer, we didn't do any travel at all. We have a bar mitzvah to pay for in September.
Oh, we just did it. We just finished in January. So
I did one February of 23, and now I have my second one.
Yeah, we have another year. Yes.
It comes really quick, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and it impedes your travel schedule and travel budget.
Budget is more budget than anything else. Absolutely.
Well, anything else you want to share with us before we tune off? This has been awesome catching up with you. I always love seeing you and talking to you, and I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me too. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
I think, I would say just, look, don't be afraid to talk to people, right? And be a chameleon and understand how to tweak yourself. Like, I can't remember what it is, but when I was doing PR, there was a test that I had to take.
Like a personality traits?
It was a personality traits, but it was actually more like, what kind of person are you? Like, how do you almost like learn? And there's some people that are auditory. There's some people that are visual, right?
Yeah.
So I think that when you're talking to somebody, when you're talking to a new client, what's really important is to make sure that you're communicating to them in a way that they receive. And so I will sometimes communicate. I will ask different questions in different ways. So I'll be like, I see what you're saying, but like, don't you think that it looks like this? As opposed to that's for a very visual person, then you can see how they respond. And then somebody can be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you're like, yeah, but I hear you. But like, you need, like, just listen to me for a second. And like, did you hear when he said, yeah, I heard that. Okay, great. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? So you can identify who that person is.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah.
Them in their way. So I think that's like it's a really important thing. And I think the most important thing that I'm constantly telling my agents and in my office is that, whether it's $100,000 or $100 million, that's two price points that I don't have in my pocket that I'm spending. I'm representing them, right? And so for me, what I need to understand and always remember, and all my agents, is that this is the most important thing that's happening in their life at the moment. And it is our obligation to meet them there, to meet them at that energy where they feel like we equally feel like it's the most important thing. Whether that's good news or bad news, it is so imperative to make somebody feel like you were genuinely on their team. Because if you can do that, you're not going to lose the listing even though you haven't sold it. They understand and they feel that you're there and they're not being left behind, right? And they want to feel like it's just as important to you. And it's not about the commission. It's about managing the client. And so meet them there, meet them at the place that they're at. It's always important. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's kind of like bring the energy, be present, be your best self. And you're right. Like this is their biggest, not only is it their biggest thing happening now, it may be the biggest thing that they deal with financially in their life. So we have to be at our A game, bringing our best to meet them where they're at. And making them understand and that we're right there with them. We're in it.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I think if you can do that, I mean, that's the crux of a repeat and referral, right? Because like, why does Yelp exist? Yelp exists to either shit talk and badmouth someone because you had a terrible experience,
right,
or to shout from the rooftops what an amazing experience you had, right? And
that's it.
The only reason you have a great experience at a restaurant, at a shop, anywhere, at a hotel is because of the customer service and the attention that they're giving you. So we have to still function in that world.
Customer service. Keep that in mind.
Customer service.
I love it. Well, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Say hi to Alon. Say hi to Mo and Billy and Blair and Santiago. And maybe I'll come by the Valley and try one of these new spots with you soon.
Hey, come visit me at the office.
818. Let's do it.
That
was awesome. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you like what you heard and you love real estate as much as we do, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and a comment. That would help our ratings so much. If you want to hear more episodes, you can go to The Deal with Danny Brown on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, or anywhere else you consume your podcasts.